guys and girls. It's David with Beagles on Fire. We've been in this series on types of dogs. Sorry I didn't get one shot yesterday, so I came out here this morning. Want to get a jump on it real quick and get it shot so I can go run some dogs. But we talked about the pack dog and the Me Too dog in the last series, and the last topic in the series. And so today we're going to move into something a little different. And if we don't have any distractions from my dog Ruger, that's a German Shorthair Pointer that runs around out here all day long. But anyhow, if you see him, you'll know what that is. But today we're going to talk about show dogs. And to those of us that just hunt, you know, we're hunters. Show dogs is not something that we get into. I'll tell you a funny story about my experience with show dogs, and I'll be the first to tell you that I want to make something real clear. I am not putting down someone who wants to go out and show their dog, okay? If you won a trophy because you won on the bench or something like that, I'm not putting you down. I'm simply using this type dog as an illustration to do with life. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not a field trial expert. I've been to one field trial in my lifetime. And don't have any desire. That's not my cup of tea. But I'll tell you a funny story. My buddy David Russell and I went to this fun run, okay, a field trial that we could go to. And during that, they had a thing called Best in Show, our bench. You brought your dog up, you picked out your favorite dog that you thought looked the best to you, and you brought it up there, and it was judged by guys. They walked up there, they walked around the dogs, and they looked at them, and they'd look at their ears, they'd pull their ear across their nose and see how long their ear was. Well, when David and I went to put our dog on the bench, which I took a dog that was a red tick named Speck, that was just an unusual looking color, and I thought she was gorgeous. They had her on the bench for about 30 seconds and said, all right, you can take her back. They never called us back, neither one of us. See, the reason they didn't call us back was they like a long tail. We found out they like a long, long tail on the dog. And I docked the tails on mine some to keep them from beating their tails in the briars and getting infected, because they're always working in the briars. And they liked a real long nose. That's why they check it, or a real long ear, I'm sorry. Real long ears, because that's why they check it across the nose. And so ours were very quickly taken off the bench and sent back. And then they wrote their little notes, and then they called some other ones back, and they named their show dog or their bench champion dog for that particular field trial. Now, the guy got a trophy or a plaque or ribbon or whatever it was that he got. Now, for me, that meant nothing, okay? It absolutely meant nothing to me other than in someone's opinion, your dog looked good. Had nothing to do with the way the dog hunted. You could have a dog that wouldn't hunt a lick and it could win a bench championship, because it's all based on what we call conformation, which is the build of the dog, is what conformation means. If you hear somebody say that dog's got good conformation, just means it's built right, okay? Not knocking, once again, not knocking someone who's won a bench show and all that, but I had a saying that I told David when we got back to the truck and put our dogs in the box, as this was in the middle of the trial thing. And I said, well, we learned something today. He said, yeah, what's that? I said, well, we learned that ours are built to go and not for show. And, you know, I'd rather have a dog myself. I'd rather own dogs all day long that are built to go than just built for show. And, you know, the problem in life, and especially in the church, is that we've got a lot of people that are built for show and not for go. They're not interested in going out and doing the things that we should do, but they're interested in getting up and showing, you know, showing. Let me show everybody that on Sunday I am super Christian. You know, it's almost like a cape comes out and an SC on the chest when they pull their shirt back or something. But they're not built to go. And so for me, I have no problem with a pretty dog. I love a pretty dog. But I have a saying that, you know, people come here, they see these, oh, they're real pretty. Well, they'll be pretty to me when they get in that briar thicket and start tearing themselves up, you know, and looking for a rabbit. That's when they look pretty to me. A dog can get real ugly real quick if it don't want to hunt. And a dog that's ugly can get real pretty if it wants to go in there and tear the briar thicket up and get a rabbit going. Now that's David's take on what David looks for in a dog. You have to understand, I don't raise dogs for show. I don't raise dogs for field trials. I raise mine for hunting. Not knocking people that do the other, okay? That's their cup of tea. That's what makes the world go round. Everybody has something different they like. But in my analogy for what I want to talk about today, I want to read a verse from 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. It says, "Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. But study to show thyself approved." By man? No, by God. That goes back to a lot of things we've talked about. You know, we talked about the qualities of a leader. We talked about that one of the qualities of a leader is that they do the right thing. That's integrity, doing the right thing when no one else is looking. So it's better to show yourself approved by God, our master, than it is by man. That takes me back to my analogy with field trials. The reason that I don't really care to field trial myself doesn't make me any better than anybody. It's just my own personal take. I do not care anything about going out here and making sure that I'm approved by man, another man, judging my dogs. I have no problem with people looking at my dogs and saying whether they think they're good or bad, but I don't need that for me to know what type dog I have. I'm not seeking a ribbon. I'm not seeking a trophy. I'm seeking dogs to tear up a briar thicket because that's where I get my thrill. You know, the problem is in life is we got a lot of people that are around here. They're out there seeking the approval of man over the approval of God. You know, if standing for God is the right thing to do, but they're going to get harassed by man for saying something as simple as, yes, I believe in God, or yes, I'm a Christian. They don't want to say that because they might not get approved by man. And so they want to go out here and maybe they're seeking some ribbons in life, so to speak. You know, what people are going to say about you that's good. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's good for people to say good things about you, but it's more important for God to know that you are approved by God is more important, is what I'm trying to say. So, you know, like I said, when you go out and you have, I think of the word show dog, I typically think, and we stereotype things sometimes, and I know that there's probably a show dog out there that would go out and tear up a briar thicket. But if you go to a show and have a show dog, when you look at the show that they have on ESPN, the one that's in, I think it's in New York or whatever, the Westminster, I think it's called, dog show, then you're not going to see a dog in there that's ever going to win. Y'all go on. You're not going to see a dog that's ever going to win that's going to have, you know, scratches on its ears, his nose tore up, his tail all bloody. That one's going to get immediately eliminated because, you know, that's not proper in the show dog world. Meanwhile, those of us that go out and put a dog on the ground that looks real pretty and wants to frisk around with his tail bopping here and there and just running up and down a lane or just standing around, maybe it looks pretty, but to those of us rabbit hunters, it's going to get ugly. So it doesn't really matter in life whether people think you're doing the right thing all the time or that you show this or that. It's important that God knows. And here's the other flip to that. There's people that go to church, and from the outside world, everybody looking in goes, oh, man, look at that guy. But inside, he's not right. Inside, he's not doing the things, and God knows that. So, you know, you may fool man on earth, but you're never going to fool God. So you need to show yourself, study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman. Now, what do I take from that being a beagler? For me, that verse, if I'm referring it to a dog, you know what? Go out here and show yourself a working dog, approved by your master. I'm going to approve one of my dogs that's out there working. I'm not going to approve a dog that sits around and wants to look pretty. So I'm sorry for the interference with these dogs. They're a bunch of knuckleheads, and I can't control them. And my wife thinks it's great that they're out here running around while she videos. So you can blame her for all that. She thinks they're cute. See, they're more of a show dog. See, they're not built to go all the time. But anyhow, the main thing that we need to take from the lesson of show dog is this. It's better to be a person that's doing things that you are approved by God than to just go out here and be out here running around making people think you're all that and you're showing them. So I hope you've got something out of this that you can use. We're kind of getting into some of the field trial type of dogs that we've got, and I've got some other stuff left on there. When I looked at my list of dogs, stuff that's coming up is we're going to have one on field trial dogs. We're going to have one on hunting dogs. We're going to have one on track dog, jump dog, loose mouth versus tight mouth. That's also known as cold nose versus hot nose dogs. Those are ones I can remember off the list. I'm getting old, so my memory's not as good as it used to be all the time. But I hope you're getting something out of this. And I tell you what helps is if you are getting something out of this, feel free to share this on your page. It just gets more viewers. It's not for me. I'm not an egomaniac trying to look for all this. The more these things spread to other people, it's a way for you to show your faith. We're talking about show dogs, so there's nothing wrong with us showing our faith. That's one thing we miss sometimes. That doesn't mean you got to go out here on a street corner and you got to preach somebody a sermon. Just show every day by your actions what you're all about. Let the inside of you show. And what's on the inside needs to show more than what's on the outside. Because the Bible does say that man looks on the outside appearance, but God looks on the heart. That goes back to this. When those judges are standing around looking at a show dog, what are they looking at? They're looking at the outside appearance. There's nothing about that dog's heart and drive and whether that dog will get in the thicket. It's all about looks. And unfortunately, that goes on a lot in the church. People look good on Sunday, but God looks on the heart. And remember that. What is on the inside of you is far more important than what's on the outside. There may be people out there that outshow you as far as, they act like they're all spiritual and all this. But if you're true to your faith on the inside, it's going to come out and it's going to show on the outside. And so I hope you got something out of that particular part of what I was saying having to do with the show dog. Remember, we need to be built to go and not just for show. Y'all have a great day.